Okay, so today we are talking about Tyranids, the new Tyranid Codex. Since I actually have a copy in my hand now, and I actually have models with me, since Will let me use them for that game you guys might have just saw, and since I've actually played them, I'm going to go ahead and do some Tyranid tactics and reviews and things that I like and don't like about the Tyranids and how I use specific units. Starting off, there's something, depending on how you count, something like 7 or 8 new races or species in the Tyranid Codex. There's quite a few new things you get to play around with. Some are really good, some are really bad. Well, none of them are really bad, like Dark Eldar Mandrake's bad or anything. Some aren't nearly as good as others. Going through all of the new units, if I remember them all, there's a Turbogon. Don't know if you count a Tyranid Prime. Tyranid Prime to me is just a warrior. There is Pyrovores. There's Venomthropes, Trigons, Molochs, Tyrannofex, the Harpy. I know I'm missing something. There's a lot of new stuff in this codex. Let me check really quick. That might be it. So, lots of new monsters too. One of the big things you'll notice with this codex is that pretty much everything got more wounds. Carnifex and Hive Tyrant are still 4, but the Turbogon, Tyrannofex, those are, and the Trigon and the Moloch, those are all 6 wounds, toughness 6. It's not something to mess around with. You see something like that coming, you got to make sure you gun it down, because unless you're charging them with Terminators, you're pretty much going to get messed up pretty bad. Things to note in the new codex: Synapse. Synapse has changed dramatically. So if you're playing Tyranids, if you're getting ready to play Tyranids and you haven't played against a new codex, keep in mind that Synapse no longer prevents instant death. Why it did in the first place, I have no idea. So now something in Synapse, like a warrior, can still be killed by something that's double its toughness. You could also suck Carnifex into the warp with Wraith Cannons now. So there's lots of fun things you can do to the Tyranids to really throw them off their game. Synapse basically now is just fearless within 12 inches, like it was in the previous edition. If you're out of Synapse, you still have Feed or Lurk, so you have to go into area terrain or charge towards the nearest enemy, depending on what unit it is. So there's not really, it's really now just a rule, not a bonus. Before it was just absurd. So make sure if you're playing Tyranids, you want to keep everything in Synapse, because the last thing you want is for you to be like 6 inches away, getting ready to charge the opponent the next turn. Your last Synapse goes down, and now everything just kind of sits there. That's pretty much the worst case scenario for you. Gaunts have improved leadership, but 6 is still garbage, so you're still going to fail almost all of them. Just a quick overview of the new codex. Things I think that are the best and the worst in the new codex. When I first read it, the Swarm Lord is one of my favorite new things in there, but it's really pricey, and enough concentrated firepower will take it down without any real problem. So, probably my absolute favorite unit so far is the Venomthrope. It's cheap, and it can really just change things in the battle. It can really mess someone up. I mean, if you watch the last battle report, I mean, it saved me from taking quite a few wounds on my Carnifex. Twice on the same squad. The Venomthrope actually killed a Penitent Engine. It's really nothing to joke around with. The Venomthrope is a really good unit, and I would definitely get one. Actually, 2 or 3, but you know what I mean. Probably what I think is the worst in the new codex. There's not a lot of units that are just horrible. Pretty much all of them you can find a decent use for. But I think that, in my opinion, the worst units in the codex are probably the Lictor, because it can come onto the table 1 inch away from anybody, but it can't assault that turn. So it's just going to get killed. You can use it as good distractions and stuff like that. Put it behind some enemy Layman Russes where he doesn't have any infantry, make him waste some shots on it. But, I mean, if it ends up being a kill point game, then that's just stupid, and you're out of kill point. So Lictors, Rippers aren't really that great still. They're alright, but the Harpy is kind of just a gimmicky thing. It's not really that good. There's probably the Lictor and the Harpy I would go with for them. Some of the worst units in the new Codex. Again, they're still not bad. They're just, I mean, when you have so many other wonderful choices, why would you take those? Just to give you guys a quick impression of how I think the new Codex should work, or works the best. You can make a really, really good shooting army. The Carnifex have an option for Bioplasma now, which in the last Codex was something like an extra attack at some reduced strength or something silly like that. Bioplasma now is literally a 12-inch plasma cannon that doesn't overheat. You can make a really, really effective shooting army in this. The Tyrannifex shoots twice at strength 10. It can move and shoot. It can still get penetrating hits, unlike the Venom Cannon, which are now blasts. So you can make a really effective shooting army, but there's not a lot of high AP weapons. If any at all, the Carnifex's Bioplasma is probably one of the only, if not the only, AP2 weapon. Aside from Zoanthrope, of course, they're AP1. So you could be super, super DACA with this army. But I think that they honestly play best if you just go completely all-out close combat. If you see my list from the last game, the only shooting in my entire army was the Termagants, which I would have loved to have Hormigons instead, but I needed the Termagants as troops. And the Zoanthropes. Zoanthropes are the only shooting I would ever recommend even taking in the Tyranid Codex. Everything else, it's best not to waste the points on it, and it's even better not to tempt yourself to not run. If you have a shooting weapon with a Carnifex, then you're going to go, hey, well, I can shoot off this Venom Cannon, I might kill a Space Marine or two. You're not going to run that turn. And because of that, he's going to die a round or two before he could have gotten to combat and ripped apart 10 Space Marines. So it's completely pointless, in my opinion, to even bother shooting. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So see you guys in the next video.